Hi everyone! Throughout this course, exposure to thought-provoking course material, class discussions, and use of the creative art-making process greatly enhanced my understanding of a plethora of complex Jungian principles. For my Jungian-inspired mandala, I chose to incorporate specific principles that inspired me to search for the hidden aspects of myself, ultimately generating the pathway toward achieving individuation. After the completion of the DreamWork assignment, my perspective was rooted in skepticism. I considered that there had to be a rational explanation for the manifestation of dream imagery. I naively believed that the dream that I illustrated was uneventful, with an absence of significant content. On the surface, there was little to no association to the focal objects that appeared within this dream, such as the field of fires or pool of water. Shortly after this dream, a major synchronistic event took place in my conscious world. Exactly 1 month after my grandfather's passing, a huge gust of wind carried a single sheet of newspaper to my father, who discovered that it was my grandfather's obituary. This was no coincidence. Natural elements such as fire, water, and wind seemed to be recurring symbols that surfaced in my unconscious dream and the conscious synchronistic event. Michelle advised me to amplify my associations to the elements in the DreamWork discussion forum. As I began to develop significant associations, my initial skepticism began to vanish. I will now begin to describe amplified associations to the alchemical elements within my dream. In my dream, the fires appeared without warning, drastically diminishing the entire mood of the setting. Similarly, my grandfather's passing was unexpected, which marked a significant transformation in my life. Rather than approach the fires in my dream, I avoided them out of fear. In my conscious world, I'm fearful of experiencing related painful events in the future. However, I've realized that there will be many more fires that will appear throughout my life, with or without warning. As stated by Michelle on the online discussion forum, water is associated with a return to the womb for rebirth. The pool in my dream was the only area of the yard where the fires couldn't reach me. I was protected in a sense, similar to when I was a child. My grandfather's passing birthed new insights into my family's past that I was not previously made aware of until I reached adulthood. There was also a birth of mutual comfort and support that guided my family and I through our complicated grief. I was genuinely surprised to discover the repeated appearance of alchemical symbolism that existed within my dreams. However, the occurrence of the alchemical elements that I discovered is not exclusive to me. An interesting fact that I learned through my research is that Jung dedicated years to the study of alchemy when developing his theories of the unconscious. I found it interesting that the anima and animus can appear in dreams. I believe that alchemical elements such as fire and water can be viewed as a direct reflection of my unconscious desire to integrate my anima and animus. For most of my life, I've relied on emotions to guide my actions over rational thought. I believe I was living in a place of rigidity by rejecting my animus. The dramatic shift that took place in my dream could represent an internal self in turmoil due to the unbalanced nature of the anima and animus. At the beginning of my dream, I was enjoying time spent in the pool before the fires surfaced. It's possible that my overbearing anima or fire was attempting to turn the attention away from the animus or water. I still have a long way to go before these concepts become fully integrated, but that is the end goal. In my mandala, I used hands to represent the anima and animus rather than female and male figures. I carefully positioned the hands next to their designated elements. For example, the hand that represents the anima is located next to the fire symbol, and vice versa. The hands are reaching toward each other but are not yet touching because integration hasn't yet been achieved. The three faces or masks located at the top of the mandala depict three personas I commonly use. My personas shift depending on the social situation and the individuals that surround me. I'm going to discuss the persona that's located on the left-hand side first. So when I'm surrounded by strangers in public settings, I find that I can be shy and avoidant. In this instance, I become more conscious of the personas that others wear more so than my own. As a therapist, I will need to be comfortable initiating conversations and interactions with strangers with the goal of eventually developing therapeutic relationships. I'm going to discuss the persona that's located in the middle next. Those closest to me associate my persona with positivity. However, this persona is not always representative of what I'm experiencing on the inside. As a therapist, I wouldn't want my clients to hide their true feelings beneath their personas. I'd want to create a trustworthy environment where the client feels as though they can express themselves authentically. How can I ask this of my clients if I don't implement authenticity within my own relationships? Last but not least is the face on the right. Growing up, I perceived introversion to be inferior to extroversion. Therefore, I adopted a false persona of confidence to compensate for what I believe I lacked. If a persona becomes difficult to distinguish from the true self, deterioration will likely ensue. In recent years, I've come to accept my introversion and believe this newfound acceptance will allow confidence to develop naturally. The final Jungian principle that I will be discussing is the shadow. Prior to taking this course, I associated the shadow solely with evil or undesirable traits that one tends to avoid. In the same dream with the alchemical elements, there was an unfamiliar girl who appeared, frightening me. Was she my shadow attempting to become present? After I disengaged interaction with her, a group of unfamiliar people manifested. They approached the property in what appeared to be an aggravated state. This larger manifestation could have been a stronger calling from my unconscious to acknowledge my shadow rather than run away from it. I've come to the conclusion that the negative aspect of my shadow may be rooted in inferiority. On the other hand, I believe my innate creative drive may be rooted in the positive aspect of my shadow. I don't want to get rid of either. I'd like to continue bringing them into consciousness to better understand them. In my final mandala piece, the figure located on the right is the positive aspect of the shadow that is reaching out to the negative aspect, bringing the undesired traits to awareness. Despite their differences, they are part of a unified whole. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the principles explored throughout the semester. Despite my heightened interest in these theories, I have only begun to scratch the surface of the material. One process that I've integrated into my personal life as a result of taking this course is that I've recently begun to actively record my dreams as a normal part of my morning routine. My finished mandala will serve as a reminder to continue expanding my relationship to these specific theories as well as others that I have yet to explore.